Hi everybody, welcome to another video with the Careers Queen, that's me. Just doing a quick video today for those of you who are about to go into Year 12, whether that's at your school sixth form or a different school sixth form or maybe a college. Whatever you are going to study, particularly those of you studying A-levels, you need to appreciate that there is this massive jump, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing people banging on about it, but it is true. There is a huge jump from Year 11 to Year 12. Don't panic about that fact. But you just need to accept that it means that there's going to need to be a little bit of a change in how you approach things, potentially. Even those of you who did fantastically well at GCSE, I think sometimes actually if you've got the mindset to do well at GCSE, A-levels particularly can be a little bit more challenging because of the sort of things that they require of you. Which again is not something to worry about, it's just you need to sort of think about things. So, one big thing, from the get-go, you need to be on top of things and organised, and you need to understand that you're not just going to be asked to do homework, that you're not just going to have a teacher saying to you, oh, here's a piece of work, do it for me tomorrow. You're more likely to have something like, here's some information, go off and do some more research about it, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what you have to do, I might give you some tips and things like that, but I'm not going to tell you all the details, and come back to me in 3 weeks with this piece of work that you've done, and then we can have a discussion as a class. Which is one of the fantastic things about sort of higher level study, is that it gives you a lot more flexibility and you can kind of take ownership a bit more. But obviously it requires different skills and things like that. So make sure you are talking to your teachers and other members of staff about different ways that you can do that. Make sure you're keeping that sort of two-way conversation with your teachers. If you are struggling to kind of get your head around what you're meant to be doing or what's being asked of you, have a chat with them. They are there to support you, but they're not going to be spoon-feeding it to you. You're going to need to do sort of some of the work yourself and kind of figure sort of things out a lot as well. And obviously, in order to do all of that, plus you sort of, so you might have sort of straight homework where you have just got some sort of questions to fill out. You've got the sort of more complicated stuff where you have to go and do research and just generally doing wider reading and things like that. It all takes a degree of organisation. So even if you were never organised at all doing your GCSEs, now is the time to get organised. Talk to sort of other people, or maybe Year 13 even, about sort of top tips for getting organised and things like that. Get yourself a diary. Make sure you keep it up to date with all your homework, or a homework planner if your school provides things like that, or set something else up yourself. You know, there's various apps and things that you can use now to kind of help manage and organise yourself. Whatever works for you, different things work for different people. Just make sure you get yourself organised and that you're on top of it from day one. Unfortunately, you are going to have to hit the ground running, you really are. Because if you don't, you will find yourself constantly trying to play catch up, even from kind of 1 week, 2 weeks in. If you haven't done anything to start with, you're going to be struggling, so make sure you're on top of it from the get-go. So that's my first top tip. Second top tip is practice. I know it's more difficult with those of you who are doing a new syllabus. There aren't so many kind of past papers and things like that knocking around like some of the others, but sometimes even if it's a new syllabus, the old syllabus was so closely linked, you could perhaps have a look at it, but check with your teacher first of all if that does apply or not. But even if it doesn't, you know, there are a fair few past papers now, or there are different questions and things. There are sort of A-level style questions that you can have a go at, because what they are asking of you is very different to GCSE. At GCSE, it's more like, you know, tell me about this thing that you've learned, and then you just tell them, and you just give them all the information in the world. Whether it's specifically what they're looking for or not almost doesn't matter, as long as it's in there somewhere. At A-level, you have to be much more specific because there is so much content. You won't have time to talk about sort of the broader, wider thing. You've got to be really specific. So do lots of practice and get your head around things like the command words. So by that I mean the sort of words that set the question up. So it's the describe, discuss, evaluate, things like that all kind of sound like the same thing, but when you start actually answering some of those questions, you'll discover that they mean subtly but very important differences in terms of what they're looking for from you. Even if you're doing some of this practice at the moment with your book open and things like that, that's okay. It's just trying to get your head around sort of these style of questions and things like that. The sooner you do that, the better. And certainly as you are leading up to exams, as part of your exam prep practice and revision and all of that stuff, definitely do sort of some of those past papers and questions and things like that. They are so important. And my third top tip, and you're not going to like this one, but when you look at your diary for year 12, you're going to think fantastic, unless unfortunately you're doing something like a BTEC or a more sort of practical qualification. For those of you doing A-levels particularly, you will look at your diary and think, this is amazing, I've got all this free time, there's a space here, there's a free period here, and there's one here, and there's one here, and oh, isn't this lovely? And can't I go and hang out in the common room? No. No, no, no. You need to make use of that time and talk to year 13s. If you don't believe me, talk to the year 13s, because they will say, yeah, looked at it, fantastic, relaxed, chilled, and then went into complete panic mode because I discovered that actually there is so much work to get done that that's the reason that you've got the free periods, is to make use of them and to get some of that work done. Otherwise, if you don't sort of do anything during the free periods, you're just going to have so much to do in the evenings. You're going to be up till stupid o'clock at night trying to get up the next day sort of to do a full day at school, and it's just not going to be possible. So you really, really need to make use of those so-called free periods. So those are my top 3 tips to get you started with life in sixth form or college, and I hope it all goes fantastically well for you. Something else you're going to have to start thinking about before too long is what, I know it's going to sound nuts because you haven't even started year 12 yet, but you're going to have to start thinking about what you're going to do at the end of year 13, probably sooner rather than later, to kind of set yourself up so that you've got all the experiences, that you've done all the qualifications, that you've done all the extra bits and pieces like work experience, and you've written the personal statements and done the CVs and stuff like that. You are going to have to start thinking about that sooner rather than later. But I will let you off that for now. We will talk about that another time in another video. So good luck with the start of year 12. I wish you all the best with it. Bye for now.